On June 11th, 2025, a U.S. Immigration and Customs enforcement raid at Glen Valley Foods in Omaha, Nebraska, detained approximately 80 undocumented immigrants, referred to by critics as illegal aliens, exposing a deeply entrenched network of city officials, nonprofit organizations, consular offices, and government agencies allegedly colluding to support illegal immigration. The press conference, led by Mayor John Ewing Jr., intended to clarify municipal roles, instead revealed a web of suspected federal crimes, including harboring, fraud, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and civil rights violations, diverting substantial resources from American citizens. This network, involving figures like Police Chief Todd Schmaderer, Douglas County Commissioner Roger Garcia, City Council Member Danny Begley, Human Rights and Relations Department Director Kaylin Daly DeGillis, and Coordinator Jennifer Rodriguez, alongside organizations such as the Center for Immigrant and Refugee Advancement, Nebraska Immigration Legal Assistance Hotline, Heartland Worker Center, and Nebraska Immigration Services, is accused of transforming Omaha's demographics, voting patterns, and economic stability. Despite citizens' efforts to report these crimes to authorities, including IC, the FBI, and the Department of Justice, no significant investigations or prosecutions have materialized, reflecting a refusal by local, state, and federal officials to act. This article outlines the alleged crimes, the failure of authorities to intervene, and the steps Omaha citizens can take to stop the funding of these organizations, remove implicated individuals, deport undocumented immigrants, and redirect resources to legal residents. It proposes legal strategies including voting, running for office, and alternative approaches to address this perceived invasion and restore justice, ensuring all actions remain within legal bounds to avoid incitement or liability. The Glen Valley Foods raid highlighted undocumented immigrants' alleged crimes, including illegal entry, unlawful presence, false document use, identity theft, tax evasion, and criminal reentry, each carrying penalties from 6 months to 20 years in prison and deportation. Glen Valley itself faces charges for hiring violations, payroll tax fraud, and conspiracy, with potential fines of $240,000 and imprisonment for managers. The broader network, however, extends beyond the company, implicating city officials and nonprofits in a collusive system that critics argue facilitates these violations while committing additional offenses. The Center for Immigrant and Refugee Advancement, led by Eric Omar, operates with a $5 million budget, providing legal aid and bond assistance to undocumented immigrants, potentially constituting harboring, punishable by up to 7 years per alien. Its Nebraska Immigration Legal Assistance Hotline, with a $500,000 budget, refers illegals to legal services, further enabling their stay. Heartland Worker Center, under Lena Traslavina-Stover, with a $1.5 million budget, promotes civic engagement that critics fear influences voting patterns, while Nebraska Immigration Services, led by Mark Sorensen with a $1 million budget, offers legal support to undocumented immigrants. Additional organizations, including Omaha Center for Refugee and Immigrant Services Incorporated, Refugee Empowerment Center, Catholic Charities, Lutheran Family Services, and One World Community Health Centers, with budgets ranging from $300,000 to $20 million, provide housing, healthcare, and employment services, potentially violating federal laws against harboring, misallocation of funds, wire fraud, and tax evasion. City officials exacerbate this collusion. Ewing, overseeing a $1.35 billion city budget with a $531.1 million general fund, promotes these services, potentially misallocating federal funds and conspiring to obstruct IC. Schmaderer, managing a $178.4 million police budget, limits cooperation with federal immigration authorities, raising suspicions of obstruction. Garcia, with a $612.7 million county budget, aligns with the Nebraska Commission on Latino Americans, advocating for undocumented Latinos, while Begley supports Heartland Workers Center's initiatives. DeGillis and Rodriguez, within the $1.2 million Human Rights and Relations Department budget, coordinate immigrant outreach, potentially facilitating harboring. Consular offices from Mexico, El Salvador, and Guatemala, with budgets of $2 million, $1.5 million, and $1.8 million, issue documents enabling illegal employment, possibly violating laws against foreign influence. These actions, critics argue, constitute a coordinated effort to entrench undocumented immigrants, diverting resources from citizens and altering Omaha's political landscape. Despite citizens' diligent efforts to report these crimes to IC, the FBI, IRS Criminal Investigation, and the Department of Justice's Public Integrity Section, no significant investigations have followed. Freedom of Information Act requests and public record demands to the Omaha City Clerk have yielded evidence of funding to nonprofits, but local and federal authorities, including the U.S. Attorney's Office for Nebraska, have shown little interest, citing resource constraints or prioritizing other cases. This inaction, critics contend, reflects a systemic failure, with officials like Ewing and Garcia entrenched in power, refusing to self-incriminate or investigate their allies. The absence of response from state officials, such as Governor Jim Pillen, and federal representatives, like Congressman Don Bacon, further frustrates citizens who see their tax dollars, over $600 million in public budgets and $50 million in nonprofit funds, diverted to undocumented immigrants. Faced with this refusal, Omaha citizens must take proactive, legal steps to dismantle this network, stop funding to these organizations, remove implicated individuals, deport undocumented immigrants, and redirect resources to legal residents. The first strategy involves political action through voting and running for office. Citizens can vote out officials like Ewing, Garcia, and Begley in local elections scheduled for May 2026 for city positions and November 2026 for county roles. Running for office, such as city council or county commissioner, requires filing with the Douglas County Election Commission by March 1st, 2026, with a fee of $100 to $500 depending on the position. Grassroots campaigns, leveraging social media platforms like X and community forums, can mobilize voters by highlighting officials' ties to nonprofits like CIRA and HWC. Forming political action committees, PACs, registered with the Nebraska Accountability and Disclosure Commission, amplifies campaign funding, targeting key races to replace collusive officials with candidates prioritizing citizen interests. Beyond elections, citizens can pursue legal challenges to disrupt funding. Filing lawsuits against the City of Omaha and Douglas County for misallocating funds under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination in federally funded programs, can pressure officials to redirect resources. Engaging civil rights attorneys, such as those from the Pacific Legal Foundation, to file class action suits on behalf of citizens denied equal access to services can lead to court-ordered injunctions halting nonprofit contracts. Citizens can also petition the Department of Homeland Security's Office of Inspector General to audit federal grants to CIRA, One World, and others exposing misallocations that violate federal law. These audits, if successful, could result in funding clawbacks, redirecting millions to citizen-focused programs like infrastructure or schools. To address undocumented immigrants, citizens can advocate for stricter local enforcement by forming coalitions to lobby the Omaha City Council and Douglas County Board for resolutions mandating full IC cooperation. These coalitions can pressure the Omaha Police Department and Douglas County Sheriff's Office to abandon sanctuary-like policies, aligning with the Trump administration's deportation focus. Partnering with national organizations like the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, can amplify efforts to push for mass deportation initiatives, targeting the estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants nationwide, including those in Omaha. Citizens can also support private deportation efforts by donating to groups like Advancing American Freedom, which fund legal challenges to sanctuary policies, ensuring deportations proceed without local obstruction. Seizing funds from nonprofits and undocumented immigrants requires legal action. Civil asset forfeiture, pursued through federal courts, can target assets gained through fraudulent activities, such as CIRA's bond assistance or One World's healthcare services for non-eligible immigrants. Citizens can file complaints with the DOJ's fraud section, alleging wire fraud and tax evasion, prompting seizures of nonprofit accounts. For undocumented immigrants, courts can impose fines for false document use or tax evasion, redirecting recovered funds to citizen programs. Legislation proposed through state senators like Margo Juarez can mandate audits of nonprofit tax-exempt status, revoking exemptions for organizations engaging in discriminatory or criminal activities, ensuring funds are reallocated to Omaha's legal residents. Alternative strategies remaining legal to avoid incitement include economic pressure and public exposure. Citizens can boycott businesses like Glen Valley Foods, suspected of hiring illegals, reducing their revenue and pressuring compliance with IRCA. Organizing consumer campaigns against companies funding nonprofits, like the Omaha Community Foundation or Sherwood Foundation, can disrupt their financial support. Public exposure through investigative journalism, partnering with outlets like the Omaha World Herald or independent platforms on X, can shame officials and nonprofits, forcing accountability. Community forums hosted at local venues like the Omaha Public Library can educate residents, building a groundswell of support for citizen-led initiatives. Over multiple election cycles, citizens must sustain pressure by supporting candidates who prioritize immigration enforcement and fiscal transparency. By 2029, targeting key positions like mayor, county commissioner, and state legislature seats can shift power dynamics, replacing figures like Ewing and Garcia with reformists. Joining national advocacy groups such as Numbers USA provides resources for long-term campaigns, while local coalitions can monitor nonprofit activities, ensuring continuous pressure. These efforts, combined with legal and economic strategies, empower citizens to dismantle the network, deport illegals, and redirect funds without relying on unresponsive authorities. The alleged crimes harboring misallocation, wire fraud, tax evasion, conspiracy, obstruction, and civil rights violations demand accountability. Nonprofits like CIRA, HWC, and One World, funded by public and private sources, face penalties of 7 to 20 years for financial crimes, while officials risk similar sentences for facilitating these activities. Undocumented immigrants face deportation and imprisonment for immigration violations, with Glen Valley liable for substantial fines. The lack of official action underscores the need for citizens to take charge, ensuring justice for Omaha's legal residents and restoring community integrity. Supplemental sections and resources can be found at the Nebraska Journal Herald.